I am Frank de Cutter. I am a chair professor of humanities here at the University of Hong Kong, and I am the author of a series of books on the history of modern China. Hong Kong was one of the very first places to become aware of what was happening in the mainland, either during the 1950s or a few years later with the Cultural Revolution. And so already at the time, Hong Kong was an observation post of the mainland. Since I've arrived here, I've used Hong Kong as a place to have frequent excursions into the mainland and start working on what happened to people after 1949. So far, if you want to read on anything after 1949 in China, it's going to be about the top leadership, Mao Zedong, Zhou Enlai, Deng Xiaoping, or it's going to be about policy decisions. It is rather dry and abstract. So how do you get closer to the voice of ordinary people? How can you find out what happened to people of all walks of life, from 1949 through the first decade of revolution, then of course the Great Famine, 1958-62, and the Cultural Revolution that follows a few years later. A big human drama. And it seems to me that the real great opportunity to rewrite the history of the People's Republic with the people at the very heart of it is the opening of the archives. Archives sounds like a very stark term, a little bit intimidating, but it's just paper, it's evidence. There are archives where a large amount of material has been declassified and you can literally read for days on end. Extremely interesting reports which range from confessions of people to the secret minutes of top leadership meetings and private letters written by ordinary people who wish to complain about what was happening to them. This is the case of Yang Junying. He was a teacher in Shanghai, and during the Great Leap Forward in the summer of 1958, he wrote a slogan but made a mistake. Instead of writing 适应技术大革命, what he wrote is 适应技术不革命. Adopting technology is not revolutionary. Instead of saying adopting technology is revolutionary. He was so afraid of that mistake and the consequences that that would entail that he actually hanged himself. Here I have something else. It's a very beautifully written, very simple document. It allows a farmer to bring a cow to market. Again, same year, 1958. It shows you that every movement of any person was very strictly controlled by the local parties in charge. Even something as simple as bringing a cow to the market. And I've written one big book called Mao's Great Famine that uses archival material from the People's Republic to look at what happened from 1958 to 1962. So that massive catastrophe has so far never been researched on the basis of archival material. And that's what the book does. But of course it's very important too to speak to the people who lived through that period and are still alive today. So what I try to do is organize something I call insider interviewing, where we have people who speak the same dialect and come from the same region, interview people who survived during that period.
For the Great Famine project, basically my aspect of research was to collect oral interviews of the famine survivors. Between 2006 and for the next 4 years, I traveled across rural China to many very remote places and to interview the famine survivors. I collected over 100 interviews amongst these survivors. They wanted to tell somebody about what happened to them, but they never had the opportunity. It's great to have Hong Kong U, to have the institutional support here, and also Hong Kong has very unique position here, being very close to China, and you can just cross the border on the sort of weekly basis. Whereas if you're in Europe or in North America, that's not very easy.
Hong Kong U has always been at the very core of Chinese studies here in Hong Kong. And it isn't just foreigners who come to live here in Hong Kong, it is frequently historians from the mainland who come to use our resources here in Hong Kong because we've kept so much material that one isn't allowed to read in the mainland. It is the place where people from all kinds of backgrounds can come together and study China. It's a place which is both very close to the mainland, yet has sufficient distance to establish a critical